This was requested by Bobby Phillips. Thank you so much. I think maybe a couple of people have over time requested this, which makes sense. It's a really great track, and there's lots of fiery guitar on it. I just want to say, there's lots of wah on the guitar, which really makes it sound is a big part of what makes it sound the way it does, not just with all the distortion, but honestly, even more so than that, I think it's with the special way that Diener plays this. It's played with a lot of reckless abandon, both the basic, like the rhythm parts, the riffs, and the lead work, the solo stuff. It's actually, pretty sophisticated in its juvenilia, if I could put it some way. What I'm trying to say is that it's very hard to recapture exactly what he's doing on here, and it has a lot of character. Everything that he's doing has a lot of character to it. So let's just go with the riffs first. This is standard tuning, all that. So right. So there's a couple small ways that it sort of differs from when he plays live and when he played on the record. He basically plays it the same, but riffs like this are basically the same. So right. So this is you're going to be pedaling the low E, not palm muting it, which you can if you want to. I think it sounds cool that way, but it definitely gives it more of like a metal sound, more of like a heavy metal sound where it's got more of a punk aesthetic to it. So if you want to be accurate, it's just an open low E without palm muting it, right? So 2 hits and then G power chord, and I'm pretty sure these are all just 2 notes. They're not the two strings. There's not like, you don't get that higher octave in there. You can if you want, but it's just not what he's doing. So G, then A, 2 frets higher on the 5th. So 3rd, 5th, and then 1 hit after that, and up here in the C on the 8th, right? So and then I think he just kind of hits like an open E in between, and he hits an open G like that, classic Diener thing. I've gone over that many times, but that's basically it. And he holds that, and then he does this. He does that a lot throughout the song, just a little. I think it's more in the realm of like a whole step bend, but you can totally sort of half step bend and totally get away with it on the 2nd fret of the G. Bend it up and bend it down. It's just a quick little thing, then pull it off. Right, and that's the verse, and that's the main riff, right? And then we get into the chorus, and he's basically doing this. Now that's the chorus, the first chorus on the album recording. So I'll show you when he does this live, right? So it's open E power chord, and then come up here and play the E power chord in this position on the A and D strings up here. So, and then D on the 5th, then C, right? So you just kind of want to be holding those out, not muting them like I am, but right? So he hits that. He comes back down there on that last hit live, so it's like that's what he does live. On the recording, instead of going to that B note, that B power chord for the last time, he does this. So another one of those, which he does pretty liberally throughout the song. So that's what he does live, right? And on the recording, on the first chorus, that is. So he ends the first chorus like that. So after the So he just sort of starts riffing on the low E, so that strums that E chord, hits it third, open third, and then little bend up and bend down on that 5th fret, then pulls off, then plucks that and pulls it off. And then he just starts hammering it on and like that, and then just stops. So that pause in between. And then he does sort of a pick, scrape, make some noise. Slides down as verse 2 and another chorus. And he just sort of strums it a little bit at the end of the second chorus like that, is how he ends it. So he doesn't do that whole. So yeah, it's just. And that's how he gets into that. So underneath of the solo, the really rad, awesome solo, there's a riff, and you'll probably recognize this riff if you've seen them play it live. It's sort of underneath. You can definitely hear it if you're listening for it on the album, but this riff is totally awesome. It goes like this. So that's just awesome. So what that is just on the. I think he might. I don't think he's doing the. You hear I'm hitting that 3 times, like that. I don't think he's doing that necessarily. He could be, but it's kind of covered up on the album. I think he might just be going right. So right. So I'll teach you that way. So 2 hits on the open E, and then hammer on the A to 5 to 7 on the low E string, and then on the A string. So and then right. So right. So that's the first 3 quarters of it, sort of. So. And then the last time, that part's so awesome. So it's so you're just doing the same thing you did before, and then he's going to do the same thing on the D string, and he's going to pull off to the open after hitting that 5 on the D. After pulling off onto the 5th, he's going to pull off to the open. He's got a little quick, tiny little bend on both of those. So, right, so just tiny little bend upward on the 7th, and then he does the same kind of little bend on the 5th, right? And so that's all together. Right? So he does that twice, and slower, that is. Right? That's what he's playing underneath the solo. And then the last chorus, you know, same sort of thing. And he does this. I think it's sort of hard to tell what he's doing on the album. If I had to guess, I would just say he's doing an F sharp power chord to G power chord, you know, 2nd fret on the low string to 3rd fret on the low string. And then E kind of holds out. And then G power chord. And then he ends the song by doing this quick little unison bend. So that's you know, 7th fret on your G, 5th fret on your B. And so it's just kind of like that, and it ends it real quick. So, you know, don't go. It's more like it's a funny little ending. It's also really rad. So the solo, again, he makes very liberal use of the wah pedal, which I can't really demonstrate while filming. It'd be weird. So just imagine that. So he definitely got a lot of reckless abandon in it. It's really cool sounding. So he's going to start off with something like that. So that's your open G and B strings. Right, so open G and B, then 2nd fret on both, 3rd, open 2, 3, then back down to 2, then open, then 2, 3, then open, then 3, 2, open. Right, so super awesome, especially with the wah. So it's a little hard to tell exactly what he does during the end there, but so it's a sort of slow, really cool bluesy bend up a half step on your 2nd fret of the G string. And then I believe he hits the open B. So you could also just bend up to that, and when I'm bending down here, I usually prefer to... So you could just bend up, but I prefer to hit the open B there. So up a half step, then open B, then 2nd fret, then open G a couple times. And then he's going to do... He could be doing a unison bend here, but he's definitely at least doing a full step bend on the 5th fret of the G. So here it sort of gets hard to tell exactly what for me in terms of the pitch of it. He could be doing that. So he's definitely doing a full step up there and hitting it a couple times. I think it's sort of like that, actually. I think he's maybe ending it on the lower, you know, just bend it down to the pitch note there on the fretted note of the 5th of the G. So, right? And then there's just some open strings, some like noise. And he's going to do a big old bend. So it's basically like pre-bend up here. So he's going to... It's basically a whole step bend, maybe even like 1 1/4 step bend, because it's just like, it's a little bit sharp. And he's, you know, hitting. You really want to like pinch a lot of these notes, you know, really dig into the strings with your fingers if you can, you know, pinch them as much as possible. I think that really helps, especially if you're not playing with a wah. But if you are playing with a wah, it makes it even cooler sounding, right? So, and then just sort of hit it over and over again as you're pulling it down, and then add some vibrato there, and bring it back up. And then, to be honest here, it's not super clear what he's doing to me. I think he's just doing some... Right, so, so that's the next lick he does after this, but so after coming off of this... So that could be literally anything, just going off this E minor pentatonic position. I would just do something like... And somewhere on the G string, like right here. Right, so... And he's definitely like got the wah is super intense. He's sort of having it on and off there, so it really sort of hides the notes. But he's also trem picking, so it's like something like that. And then he's gonna slide up there on the G string, 14 to 16, and then on your B string, 15 to 17. He's gonna do a quick little, after you get to that note on the 15 of the B, a quick tiny little, it's like a half step bend on the 17 of the B. So that's basically where it's going to end up. So I think it's basically going to end up like that. Right, so it could also be something like, right, so just climbing down the E minor scale there on the B string, 15 to 13 to 12. Basically, just want to either way just make your way down to 14 to 12 on the G, and then full step bend on 14 of the G. Full step bend there on the 12. And then I believe he's doing a so very Brown way to end the solo. So, well, this part of the solo anyway. I think he's basically doing it's like almost a step and a half bend basically on the 14 of the D string, and then coming back down and hitting that just fretted, and then 12, then 10. Little, you pluck that, hammer on pull off, and then he kind of slurs it as he slides down. And I think he hits the E string sort of like how the riff does. Sort of like that, but he hits the open E, I think. Comes up here for this power chord. And he does this really cool thing. It's a really simple lick, but it works really well. He basically just plays these power chords, but arpeggiates them. Right? So that's just power chord. That's the the 3-string one. So grounded on this 9th of the A string. So hits the A string, then D string, then G string, then D string. Then move everything up 1 fret. And just hits the A string, D string, G string, and then lets it ring out there. Alright, so, and then he does a similar thing. And then he ends it by doing this. This double stop here on the 12th of the G and B. Right? And basically, I don't think there's a unison bend. It could be, but it just sounds like a single note to me. Right? So, full step bend on the 15 of the B. And then just ends quick like that. Super fun song. It's really quite the impressive showcase for Diener, especially like that early on. As you can tell, there's a lot of prowess in there. There's a lot of that. You could say it's juvenile. It's sort of, but there is definitely a touch to it. I definitely couldn't have made come up with something like a part this cool when I was that young, especially back then. I think it's quite the showcase, and he would do even more impressive things from there. But just what a great song. It's so anthemic, and it's cool that they wrote something when they were so young that's still being played, and it's got so much energy and finesse behind it, even though it's so juvenile by nature. It's still really cool. So thank you so much for requesting great songs like this, and I hope you had fun learning it, and see you later.